Okay, so we got through the book of Revelation, and there's a young lady that I work with that happened to mention that she was reading the book of John. So I decided to pick it up, and of course, it spoke to me. But I'm really realizing the deal with the Bible. Um, I think John represents the human being, right? And it's John represents the human being that is seeing that pinpoint of light in the distance and knows it to be real and knows it to be of God, and he sees the coming in of that light, right? And then that light appears in a human form, which we know as Jesus Christ or Yeshua, which would have been his actual name, because the J was not even a letter until after Jesus, was alive, did his walk, resurrected, all that stuff was actually prior to the J even being implemented. So, a little history lesson on that one. But yeah, so John, I'm realizing John. I realized when I spoke the words in Revelation from John's mouth, it was me. You know what I'm saying? But he says, I, John. But I too am John. You know what I'm saying? I'm a human being. I'm a human being that holds the divine light within. And that's the story. That's the story. The story is us. We are the body, right? I think that people say those words, that we are the body, but don't realize the depth of those words. And I'm realizing more depth for myself in this moment. So, anyways, so I realized John is that human being that's starting to see that pinpoint of light, starting to realize God to be a realness within his own life, within his own being. And when that light comes in that human form, Yeshua, and John baptizes the Lord. That is the sacred secretion within the self. You're cleansing the Lord within yourself. And you become one. And then you walk your divine life. You know what I'm saying? Because you also take part in the resurrection. So now I read from the King James Study Bible, because before the Bible was cryptic to me, and this was more forefront. You know what I'm saying? Plus, it's got descriptions of verses and the people and places and things that you may not be aware as you're reading. So it helped me, but now I don't even need that. So let's read. Now, this is John, and the Gospel according to John, and this first part is entitled The Deity of Jesus Christ. Interesting, Christians. Very interesting. In the beginning was the Word, capital W. And the Word was with God, capital G. And the Word was God. And in Hindu scripture, it explains, God had a thought form, and then he spoke. To me, that's when the universe came into existence. He spoke, Om. And it permeated out and created the physical manifestation. It took the soup that was God, many, many, many aspects, many dimensions, many perfections, and created, our physical reality. So we're spirit first. And then, like I said, in the Hindu, the Om was the word spoken in the beginning. And the word was with God and the word was God, one and the same. Now, in the Hindu way, there were sages back in the day that meditated for days, weeks, months, years on end about the true existence of the all. And they caught the vibration, the reverberation of that Om. But when that Om hits a planet, hits a star, the frequency and the vibration changes, right? So when that vibration hits you, how is it going to reverberate? And in the Hindu way, the first scriptures on this earth, it's outlined how God creates. And he creates with Om. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Oh, wait a minute. Let me read that again. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made. Two separate words. Anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Yes. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. And the darkness is the lower aspects, the egoic self. So when you're in your egoic self, you're not comprehending the light. It says it right here. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, capital L, light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. Okay, so John's in his human form, right? We are the light and the dark. So John's standing in the center of his being. But he sees that pinpoint of light. And he knows it to be real. And it says, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. Okay, yes. Okay, we're going to keep going. He was not that light because he's in the center of his being, right? He sees himself. He sees the dark. He sees the light, and he's like, whoa, but I see this light. And that light is great, and that light is pure. So he's not the light as of yet. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. That's the breath of life that we each get at birth. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And it still holds true today. The Lord never left. I think this is another huge misconception. After his resurrection, he never left. The vibration is here still. We just have to tune into it. And then guess what? We start to become. That light permeates. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten Son of the Father, capital F, full of grace and truth. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next part. The witness of John the Baptist. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, This was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me. For he was before me, because he was from the beginning. However, the part that's the light is the part that was before you. So you got the light in the darkness, right? But the light was before you. Because you were the light. You come from the light. But in order to take manifestation in this reality, you have to take a birth through the birth canal. So you kind of birthed into darkness. But you come from the light. So when John's speaking this, he's speaking of the Christ. But the Christ is also within us. You see? A double-edged sword all over the place. But this is a beautiful double-edged sword. I think this is the fullness of the understanding of the Christ. Understanding it within yourself. In reality. Because you can say it all day. But until you know it, that's the difference. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, This was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. Oh, so it's all in us. We have received it, see? For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came of Jesus Christ. The law was given by Moses. That's because in Moses' time, it was very physical. It was very physical because we were in the totality of the physicalness. However, and the sin was going nuts during Moses' time. And still,